Hi all. This video will cover the first of two different methods of practicing sight reading from Solfege using the Solfege Tools. The Solfege Tools app is the one that opens when you switch to the Aural Skills tools. That's in part because it's often the starting point for student practice, but in part also because the Solfege Tools is the OG Aural Skills tool. The Toolkit got its start during the pandemic when we needed a way to share a Solfege menu during Zoom-based classes. The current version adds a lot of extra functionality, but that also means a lot more buttons and settings, so let's take a look at one simple practice method. The first method for practicing sight reading from Solfege is perhaps obvious, as there's a box labeled reading exercises. We can use the generate button here to randomly generate a melody that's up to 32 notes long. But before we do that, let's check a couple of settings. In the pattern generator box, you'll see a slider for setting the melody length. This slider also determines the length of melodies for the reading exercises. So for now, I'll set it to 8 notes to simulate a typical phrase. But I need to check two more settings. I can pick a key using the aptly named key menu. When I choose a key, it'll play a short progression to help me anchor in that new key. The last setting for now isn't quite as obvious, but it's an important one. I have 4 options in terms of the possible melodic intervals that might appear in the melody. It's worth mentioning that the melodies aren't purely random. We use a fairly basic method to try to make the melody follow typical melodic tendencies, while leaving a little room for less common possibilities. But you can limit the interval between successive notes using this menu. The first 2 settings should be self-explanatory. The third option is the default. This limits the leaps in the melody to skips between Do, Mi, and Sol in major, or Do, Me, and Sol in minor. The all leaps option isn't quite as chaotic as it sounds, as it maxes out at 5th leaps, except for leaps between tonic triad notes. I want to start with something manageable before I really challenge myself, so I'll pick the steps only option for now. Once I've established my key, melody length, and interval types, I'm ready to generate some solfege, so I just click the button and sing. Mi, re, do, ti, la, sol, la, sol. If I want to check myself, I can click the play button in this box. Note that this will use the tempo setting in the pattern generator box, so here quarter note equals 80. You can also send this pattern to the score view below, but we'll get into using the notation tool in a later video. One last thing. If your melody has leaps, the solfege on its own won't necessarily indicate leap direction, like from a sol to a do. The player here tries to make intelligent decisions in terms of melodic contour, but note that your rendition may end up being a little different from the version the player chooses. You can watch the Method 2 video for a different approach to practicing solfege reading. That's all for now, so thanks for watching and happy practicing.